Welcome to 843 TV. I'm your host, Lisa Richardson.
And I'm your other host, Annalisa Itkor, and welcome to a special back to school episode of 843 TV, where we're going to be welcoming the gang from Bridges Prep School.
To share with us first is Chris Wilson, the interim head of school, along with Dr. Sherry Herbst, who is the interim assistant head of school. Welcome to 843 TV. Here with a special back to school episode of 843 TV, we're going to talk to the folks at Bridges Prep School and learn all about the exciting new changes and advances coming up this year. And it's the first few days of school, quite literally. Chris, you're acting as an interim headmaster. Tell us about how it's going so far.
So far, so good. Everything, the first few weeks of school are always the most important as teachers set up their classrooms. They set up their expectations for the classroom. First few days, you have the new students. You've got your kindergartners who parents want to walk them in that first day.
I was one of those, right?
We have our car rider lines, which once people feel, get that felt out and know the route that they're supposed to take, then that'll be a lot smoother. But overall, I think things have been going very well.
Now, how about the students specifically? What changes are those students going to notice at the different grade levels?
So in the early elementary grade level, we're introducing a new reading and writing curriculum called Lucy Calkins Reading and Writing Workshop. We've had some teachers attend the institute at Columbia University and come back and train our teachers. Students at early elementary in 3rd through 7th will also notice our new reading and math interventionists, and we've added those to
I'm going to interrupt. What is interventionist? That's a cool word, but I don't know what it means.
It's a specially trained reading or math teacher who helps the teacher in the classroom reach the students who might need an extra level of instruction, so that we can keep all students advancing and achieving their goals.
Got it.
Now, you all have been growing for many years. We've gotten to share a lot of that as we've come out and met with you. And so I understand you've got 11th grade added now.
We do.
So share about that.
We do. We have 11th grade this year. We have added, in addition to last semester piloting our dual enrollment course, we have about 11 students, I believe, taking some dual enrollment courses this year in full effect. Right now, those are online courses. We've added an AP course in U.S. history, and being taught by one of our new teachers who we hired this year. We're very excited about that. Students in the junior level will be taking classes such as English 3, pre-calc, calculus, physics. We have a pretty decent sized junior class. I'm excited about this group.
Well, I think what impresses me is not only right now are you dealing with the beginning of a new year, but you already have to be projecting a little bit to next year, because am I correct that next year it's going to be a full K through 12 school?
Yes, ma'am.
That's really exciting. And not only that, the increase in students. I mean, you have, 700 students now, which is more than twice what you started with.
It is actually more than twice. You're
Wow.
right.
Now,
exactly.
How are you handling all that?
Well, let me just tell you that was probably a little squeeze for a while, because we literally in our buildings did not have room for one more student in a class.
Good problem though, right?
Yes, it is.
Really?
It's a
We
great
call that a
problem.
champagne problem.
Honestly, it is a great problem. So with the new facilities, then we've expanded, and as we build the actual new school, we are in what we call learning cottages. The high school will be 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. And then we'll have a brand new school, and you're right, 2020 will be our first graduating class, so it is very exciting.
That's going to be, it has to be an interesting challenge for the teachers though, because I know I went to a high school that had growing pains, and we spent quite a few years in and out of trailer classrooms. And it was weird for the students, but I imagine it introduces an interesting challenge for the teachers.
It does. A lot of our students that have been in these classrooms, they're used to some of the smaller situations that we've been in. When we move into our new modular facility, I will say that our classrooms for our upper school students are going to be probably the biggest classrooms they've been in if they've been with us the last 5 years. We're extremely excited about that move. Yeah. When I went and toured the facility, I was overwhelmed by the size of the room, so we're excited about that.
Very cool.
And I know later in this show we're going to talk more about the facility itself, but you must have a wide range of students as far as achievement level. How do you handle those differences and ranges from those higher level students to maybe those who aren't quite there?
Well, this year we did some hiring to help us in both areas. We've hired a new special education coordinator. As Dr. Herbst alluded to earlier, we have our interventionists that not only help the teachers, but they'll help the students that are at the bottom level of their grade level, and in hopes that we're moving them forward, getting them some interventions and helping them to move forward. We have also hired a GT coordinator, which is gifted and talented, for our upper level students to be pulled out and also push in for enrichment purposes as well, to help serve their needs at the upper level as well.
I would have loved to have had something like that when I was a student, because I think you have those students that they may not even know that they're strong achievers, they just know that they're bored.
Right.
And so when you have someone who's observing and can kind of take that student and grab them by the collar and say, come on in here, we're going to get you interested, I think that's a great way to help them grow.
Definitely a comfort for parents knowing that each of their child's needs can be met. So.
Well, and speaking of parents, I imagine you're enlisting a lot more parental assistance with the growing numbers.
We do have more parents, and I think that it goes back to the fact that Bridges was really started by parents who wanted more for their students, who wanted some choice in what the students had. And I think that Chris and Sherry both, as leaders there, have been instrumental in moving that on forward. The teachers have been, they're like the roots of the tree. They are the foundation that is there. Mm-hmm. And you're absolutely right. You said something that is near and dear to my heart. It's taken students that, a lot of times when a student is bored, it's because, or when a student acts up, they're bored. Mm-hmm. They really aren't being challenged. So if we challenge them, if we can keep them engaged, we keep them and we produce successful students, which makes all of the stakeholders happy.
I'll bet it does. Yes. So we're going to come back and we're going to talk more about the exciting new facility. We're really looking forward to hearing about that. So make sure you stick around for some more 843 TV. Welcome back to 843 TV, and joining us now we have Marty Miley, who is the Vice Chair of the Bridges Prep Board, and returning also we have Dee. So let's talk a little bit about the school that is being expanded. Very exciting, but I also imagine a little stressful. I understand the upper school construction was going very, very well until the rain in July, like 15, 20 inches of rain, which had to impact the progress.
It was going very well. They were moving at Superman speed. They were going very well until the rains came and it mucked the site up. Took a while to get the trailers in, get them set up due to the wet conditions. Then vandalism started on the construction equipment, where people were breaking out windshields and removing GPSs and crushing them. So there's been some delays nonetheless. We would guess there were somewhere between 2 to 3 weeks between the vandalism and the rain.
Now, what are you doing to get on top of the vandalism?
The Sheriff's Department has been made aware of it. They're doing patrols now. They have set up game cameras and other devices to try to catch the individuals that are doing the vandalism.
That's too bad. So while the upper school students are in Green Street, what are you doing to get the roads ready and those modular classrooms?
So most of the road is down, the base part of it. Actually, part of the parking lot has been paved. It was paved last weekend. So we have means to get firefighters in, vehicles in. Another paving should go on next week. We're waiting on inspections to get electrical and other things up and running. So we're waiting on water meter from Beaufort Jasper and electric meters from SCNG.
Wow. So with all of this taken into consideration, what do you think the timeline is for the completion of the upper school?
We're still waiting on the Office of School Facilities to come do their final inspection, which we have them scheduled for middle of next week. So as soon as we hear from them as to when we can move in, we'll get with the school and see what their timeline is. We would hope in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yes, yeah.
Great.
We're hoping.
Is the noise from the construction site a problem for the students who are nearby?
We'll have to get with the contractor that'll be chosen at that time to, put in some means and methods to prevent any noise from being distractions. We'll lean on them to come up with those means to do that.
So not to dwell at all on negative, but I'm always curious. Construction, I think both, when you're looking at a school or a home, it's always a bit of a nightmare. Have there been any other issues that have arisen in terms of permits or?
He can speak on, yeah.
There are always issues with getting permits. You're dealing with several different organizations that all have the way they want it done, and those sometimes take a while to acquire. But nonetheless, it's nothing different than any other project. It just takes a while to get those permits in place.
Put on that patience hat.
That's right.
Well, and I'd like to add that the construction people that have been working with us, they have been phenomenal. They have worked 12-hour days, 6 days, 7 days a week. I mean, it's like they really have partnered with us, knowing that we're on a mission.
Sure.
So they have been very much an integral part of it. It's very fulfilling to see it and to talk with them. They're good people.
To move on to something a little more positive on note, very quickly, let's touch on fashion. Because I understand there's a new uniform policy in place. I'd love to hear about it.
We wanted to give the high schoolers a little bit of heads up and a little input and autonomy in what they would wear this year. I mean, within reason, honestly. There is uniforms, and we all know what uniforms are. K through 7 maintain and have the uniforms. The upper grades, 8 through 11, have a dress code, meaning that they have to dress in a proper manner, but they get to, autonomy in the choices that they make. And it is a pilot program, and quite frankly, the reason it is being piloted, there's 2 reasons. If they don't adhere to it, it will be stopped, and they'll go back to uniforms. If it is successful, and I hope it is, then we have to go back into our charter and make an amendment to that, because we do have uniforms in the charter, and anything that's changed in our charter has to be amended and goes through a process.
All right.
So yes.
Well, there's so much again to learn, and we are going to get back to some more information about the school in just a few minutes, so you all stay right here. We'll be back with more 843 TV. Welcome back to 843 TV on our back to school episode, where we're learning all about Bridges Prep and the exciting new changes. And we've been hearing so much and learning so much. Now your campus this year is spread over 3 buildings within 8 miles. That sounds like a lot to manage. So how are you handling that?
We are fortunate right now to have such a great staff. We've hired a few individuals that help us out. Dr. Herbst and our Dean of Students, when you're talking administration, will head up the Boundary Street campus. I will be at our new campus at Robert Smalls Parkway. And we are fortunate enough to have an individual at our Celadon campus named Mr. Tim Drury. He's our front desk person who is very good at running that building and keeping those kids and teachers sometimes in line. But if the need arises, we are all available to come to a certain building and be available if needed.
A lot of communication, I'm sure, happening throughout the day.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, as you continue to creep into that high school arena, what do the high school students have to look forward to this year in terms of classes or electives?
The high school students have more options this year. We're trying to expand the curriculum vertically and horizontally. So as the kids grow in increasing knowledge in the subject areas, we increase their offerings, but we also have been able to increase them horizontally, so digging deeper into a subject area. As well, we have some new electives that also connect with our STEM philosophy in our charter. For example, forensics has been a popular one this year.
Very cool. I'd sign up for that in a heartbeat. Very cool.
I like how you put that horizontally and vertically. That's really good. Tell us a little bit more about your teaching staff in particular. I know that's definitely a highlight.
Well, on the way here, I was counting. I think we have close to 20 new teachers from all over the place, even international. We have the best. I feel we have the best staff that any school could have. We have taken a lot of time and invested a lot in recruiting who we feel will represent our values and our goals, and
that's important for
yeah.
sure. And where are your students comprised of? Beyond Beaufort? Do they come from beyond Beaufort?
They do.
We do.
We
yeah.
actually have had students from Yemassee, and for a while, we do not have the 2 students right now, but we had a doctor drive back and forth from Savannah to bring his students to our school.
There you go.
Wow.
So, I mean, and it got to a part where with his practice it was difficult, but the bottom line, it speaks volumes because it shows you that we really do have creativity in what we're doing and options and choices that parents really do buy into. I mean, they are, you know, that's important.
So with 3 unique individuals sitting here, I know you'll each have a unique answer. If I were to ask you, what do you think makes Bridges Prep such a great school? How would you answer that?
I would say it's the people that founded it because of their desires and wants for their own children, but seeing beyond that, I can say that what they had was a vision for choice to make education for their students better, to stretch them. For me as an educator, it has been awesome to see the dedication of the teachers because they really do, through whatever trials and tribulations we have had, they have stood strong. They have backed up the students that we have. They have been there for the kids. We now, I think that with Chris and Sherry, we really do now have a strong staff in place. I mean, strong leadership. We have an assistant principal who acts as the dean of students. And actually, I'm sure Mr. Wilson will be at all campuses pretty much daily because that's a role as a head of school, and that Sherry will, Dr. Earps goes back and forth from Celadon to the Boundary Street, as does Mr. Cable. So I think that we have in place what is necessary to stretch those kids and to make it successul.
How about you, Dr. Herbst? What would you answer? How would you answer that?
I would say a committed faculty and families who have really invested in Bridges, and they have to go through some struggles, but they see what's to come. They have that vision of what will happen down the line. So I think the committed faculty and families.
And Chris?
I would like to piggyback off of Dr. Herbst. I think that at the heart of the decision to come to Bridges, it is a school of choice. And so every family that decides to put their child, their student in Bridges, it's what they want as a family. And I feel that we are a big family, from my staff to my students. I preach that. I feel it. And I think that's what people want for their kids, is to be in an educational setting where family is at the heart.
I know that every time we come out, and we've talked to you a few times now, we feel that passion that you guys have. We really do. So that's really exciting. Now, as if all we talked about it wasn't enough, what community things might be happening? What can the community look forward to going for this fall and this year? Any special events?
Leadership has set up some great things for the community. So
Sure, you're going to be able to see, we have some family science nights, family reading night. In March, we're going to have our annual block party, which is a huge success, and people look forward to it all year long, which will be in Port Royal. We have a number of athletics that people can attend. We have basketball and volleyball. Right now, we're gearing up for volleyball and cross country. Of course, cross country is a little hard to watch, but you could
It
come.
is, isn't it?
You can cheer, hand out water.
That's right. You can come to our volleyball games. Our basketball games are held at our main campus. We also have softball and soccer. I think I hit them all there. There might be a couple others I missed, but
I have one to add.
Sure,
So,
sure.
Mr. Wilson and I attended a Paideia Leadership conference this summer, and one thing that we're excited about is promoting our Paideia philosophy that we have at Bridges into the community. So,
And what does Paideia mean?
Paideia is a teaching philosophy that where everyone believes that all children can learn. All children can learn, and all children should have an equally rigorous education, no matter what their levels are. And it involves a hands-on learning. And so we actually, at the end of Paideia is this Paideia seminar. And that is where we teach students how to have discussions and how to participate in, eventually how to participate in a democratic society. So we hope to be able to take some of our seminars into the stakeholders and into the community and get them involved in some interesting discussions about the world.
It's a great process. It's enhanced by Socratic seminars and by project-based learning.
Fantastic. Well, clearly you guys have so much to offer, so many exciting things going on with the growth of the school. Thank you for being here today to share it all with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being with us,
Thank you for
Lisa.
having
And
us.
thank you for joining us for another episode of 843 TV.
Where communities come to speak.